When the Wise Man Appeared by William Ashley Anderson. It was a bitterly cold night. Vast and empty over Hallett's Hill, a brilliant star danced like tinsel on the tip of a Christmas tree. The still air was resonant as the inside of an iron bell. But within our snug farmhouse in the Pecona Mountains of Pennsylvania, it was mellow with the warmth of our cheery red stoves. The dinner things had been cleared away, and I had relaxed when Bruce came downstairs, an apparition in a long white nightgown with a purple cotton cloak over his shoulders. In one hand he held a tall crown of yellow pasteboard and tinsel, and from the other swung an ornate censer, and on his feet were thin flapping sandals. "What are you supposed to be?" I asked. My wife looked at the boy critically, but with tenderness. "He's one of the wise men of the East," she explained. The look she gave me was an urgent reminder that I had promised to get him to the schoolhouse in time for the Christmas pageant. I shuddered at the thought of the cold and went out into the night, pulling on a heavy coat. The battery in the old car had gone dead, but by one of those freaks of mechanical whimsy, the engine caught at the first turn of the crank. That was a trick of the devil, for the engine died before we got out onto the main road. My heart sank. I glanced at Bruce, with the crown and the censer clasped in his arms, staring down the endless lane that disappeared in the lonely hills. The Hallett place was 1.5 miles away, and the nearest highway, with the thin chance of a lift, was more than 2 miles away. Well, I thought, it's not tragically important. Bruce still said nothing, but his eyes were staring now at the big star twinkling just over the ragged edge of the mountain. Suddenly I realized he was praying. He'd made his promise too, and he was praying that nothing would keep him from being one of the 3 wise men on that magic Christmas Eve. I strained and heaved at the crank, but it was useless. And when I looked up, Bruce was scuttling down the lane, one hand holding his skirts and the other swinging the censer, the high golden crown perched cockeyed on his head. I hesitated between laughing at him and yelling for him to stop, and then I began cranking again. Finally, the engine coughed threateningly. I scrambled into the car. Just about where the road enters town, I overtook Bruce. "You shouldn't have gone off that way," I growled. "It's too cold." "I made a fire in the censer," he said. "I kept warm enough. I took a bearing on that star and made a shortcut across the Bozzoni's farm and came out right by the new cottage." He shivered. "Look at your feet. You might have frozen them." It wasn't so bad. We arrived at the school on time. I stood in back and watched, and when I saw Bruce appear, walking stiff-legged out and on cut and chilblained feet, kneeling by the manger, declaiming his lines, an uneasy awe rose up within me. Something stronger than a promise, I knew, had brought him through the bitter cold night to this sacred pageant. Going home, Bruce showed me where the shortcut came out. "That's where the Thompsons live," he said. "Harry Thompson died there." As we passed the Bozzoni's farm, there were lights burning. I thought this was strange. Since George Bozzoni had gone off to war, the old grandmother who had lost her youngest son in the first war had sort of shriveled up, and a gloom lay over the house. But as I slowed down, I could see Lou Bozzoni through the kitchen window, smoking his pipe and talking with his wife and his mother. That was about all there was to the evening. But on Christmas Day, a friendly farmer's wife came by with gifts of mincemeat and a jug of sassafras cider. She went into the kitchen where my wife was supervising the feast. I drifted toward the kitchen too when I heard laughter there, since I have a weakness for the gossip of the countryside. "You've got to hear this," said my wife. The farmer's wife looked at me with a glittering but wary eye. "You ain't a-gonna believe it either," she said. "Just the same, I'm a-telling you. Folks up here in the hills see things, and they do believe." "What have you been seeing?" "It's that old Mrs. Bozzoni last night. She heard something back of the barn, and she looked out. Now, I'll say this for the old lady. She's got good vision, and there weren't no moonlight. But if you recollect, it was a starry, bright night, and there she saw, plain as day, one of the wise men of the Bible a-walking along the hill with a gold crown on his head and a-swinging one of them pots with smoke in it." My wife and I looked at each other, but before I could say anything, our visitor hurried on. "Now don't you go a-laughing. There's another testimony. Them Thompsons, you know, the ones whose oldest boy died? Well, the children heard him first, a-singing 'O Come All Ye Faithful' plain as day. And they went running to the window, and they seen the wise man, gold crown and robes and all." The farmer's wife looked at me defiantly. "Old folks and children see things that maybe we can't. All I can say is the Bozzoni was heartsick and lonely for her lost boy, and the Thompsons was heartsick and lonely because this was the first Christmas without Harry, and they was a-prayin' too. Bozzonis and Thompsons don't even know each other. I'm a-telling you, it was a comfort to them to see and believe." In the quiet of the kitchen, the eyes of the two women searched my face for disbelief, perhaps, since I'm not very religious. But whatever they expected, they were surprised at what they got. I hadn't seen a vision that Christmas Eve, but what I had seen was to me far more impressive than any apparition. A flesh and blood small boy with a promise to keep, following over a trackless countryside the same star that had led the wise men to Bethlehem. And it was not for me to deny the courage and the faith I saw in my son's eyes that night. So I said, with a sincerity which must have startled those two good women as much as it obviously pleased them, "Yes, I believe that God is very close to us at Christmas time."